I'm just gonna do what I'm comfortable with. There's no time for anything else. We have 1 week left. I'm in the garage, as you can see. The truck is here in front of me, as you can see. We made a ton of progress over the last week. I'm gonna overview that. But I'm out here in the garage for a couple of reasons. One, you'll see there is no side panels on here. Those are at anodizing, and I hope that they make it back in time. That's a whole nother story. I have some time to react to that if not. But over here behind me, I have remolded the hood and a new roof in carbon fiber. Yes, I abandoned the bubble. Sorry. I just have to get it done. I like how carbon fiber looks. I love doing it. And so I did it. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to unmold that. Then we're going to see how that looks. You'll see my reaction to whether or not things worked out as planned. It's the first time that I've done twill exposed rather than the forged carbon. So I'm excited to see how that worked. Matt's Porsche looked great, and I'm hoping that these panels turn out decent as well. So I'm gonna get those undone, get them cleaned up a little bit. Hopefully I can like rough mount them. We'll go back into the studio and we'll cover exactly where we're at, how things are going, what I got done, and what is left. So to the unmolding, I don't know, what do you call this? Demolding? Demolding, I think that's the word. Anyway, we've got the roof, we have the hood. Let's do the roof first. It's the one I'm most worried about. Well, we're demolded, but the other end is still stuck to the so my mold release worked great, and the finished look is not bad. I'm not upset with, it's not perfect on this edge. The twill moved a little bit, but it's not bad enough that I'm gonna call that a failure. Nice and thin and rigid. So we're gonna get that sanded and polished, and then I may do a overlay coat. But so far, so good. Same way. My mold release, or my mold prep, God, I could use that mold again without any more work. Mold release worked really well. I was worried because this is PLA and I normally use PETG, but it worked perfect. I can still feel the wax. Solid. Of course, it's still stuck to this. Weave on the hood looks excellent. All intact, in line. I think we're good. I've got the seam down the middle where the seam in the mold was. I probably don't, I mean, with how clean these came out of these molds, I probably don't need the split molds, but then also if they do get stuck in there, trying to get them out of there, it's gonna be a nightmare. So whatever, it's probably worth it. Not a huge deal to do that. But I'm gonna get my PPE on and trim these out. So the hood that I redid on the back side, just like the denim one, you can see those steps in there, right there, around the edges, all the way around. And that's because there is a 3D printed insert that is between the first and the second layer of carbon fiber. So there's an actual boss in there for everything to really bite or use to clamp down onto, because that's where the screws will go through. Worked out great. So I'm confident I can get these cleaned up and ready to go, which is what I'm going to do now before we head back into the studio. So back in a few. All right, we're back in the studio here. Truck is in front of me. Carbon fiber panels are mounted. I got them trimmed out, and we did a rough wet sand with 600 and 1000 grit. Just a nice, easy wet sand to get all of the, the lines or the finish knocked off of it so that we're in a good state. That does make it a dull finish, as you can see there, but that's fine because I'm going to do a flood coat on this again. I'm going to use a different type of epoxy. We'll see. But I'm going to test this first on some of the denim panels that I still have left over. So I think that's going to be, the denim thing just didn't work out. If I had more time or I was more satisfied with how it started, then maybe we could have kept going in that route. But I love carbon fiber. I love machined aluminum, and I'm not going to apologize for going those routes. The machined aluminum panels are at anodizing. Hopefully those make it. Otherwise, we're going to be making some emergency carbon panels. It's fine. We can do it. We don't need much heads up to be able to get that stuff done. But let's talk about what we already got done. The truck is currently wired, and I've tested some of that wiring. The Silent Assassin ESC, Chief over here, everybody. The Silent Assassin ESC is currently located here on the side. I made a nice little ESC tray out of some angle aluminum. One of my favorite materials to just work by hand. You can just, trim it out, flat sand it, give it a nice brushed look, and it's super rigid. It's so easy to work with very, very basic tools. It's stronger than a 3D printed option would have been. It's super low profile, and it just tucks up in there and holds everything out of the way of the linkages below. Which, speaking of, the linkage on the passenger side here, that is the servo for the rear dig. Now, since that servo arm moves in this plane, and so does the shift lever, there is no reason for misalignment, so you don't need a rod end. Therefore, I just whittled out a flat bar link out of some stock aluminum, or aluminum stock. Drilled a couple of holes in it, put my screws through it, and it just gives me the ultimate low profile, lightweight link for that application. Again, pretty simple, straightforward. On the other side, where the front dig or rear dig, technically that's rear dig. When you make the rear tires have the only power, they call it rear dig. That is not currently set up for rear dig. I'm still waiting on those parts to arrive. I hope that they arrive in time. Otherwise, I'll have selectable overdrive and regular dig, which is fine too. We'll figure it out. I did put the linkage in for that. Since those two arms move in different planes, that does have a regular link with a couple of rod ends, but at least it's hooked up. You can see I have a driver installed. Now let me tell you how this situation has gone. The rules state for the event that we're going to, which is called We Are Sea-Rock Nationals, happening in Morrison, Colorado, in 1 week from today, at least when this video goes up. I have a week. The rules state that the driver and the seat must be separate. Anyway, I needed to make that happen. Now, separating the two pieces, being able to 3D print them and put them back together was just not working out, and I didn't feel like fiddling with it anymore. I had another idea anyway, and we executed that. Now, I had this orange jumpsuit sitting around from Scale Metal Supplies. What I did is I designed up a flexible skeleton that I bolted together with M2 screws. Torso, spine, shoulder type thing. And the hands and feet, and then from this portion of the chest up, are also 3D printed. Now, they're just 3D printed in white. Currently, they need to be detailed or printed in black. Like the gloves and feet, I can just print in black. Those are done. The head up, and obviously the back of the head, not complete yet either. That needs to be painted and detailed. Oh, but obviously just that stick frame is not a human-like person. But I knew that, and that was not my goal. So I took that assembled skeleton, and then I wrapped it with foam clay. This stuff weighs nothing. This whole container is 300 grams, which is not much either. And that's for this whole container. And I used like this little bunch, and I just pushed it around the legs, pushed it around the torso and the arms, and screwed on the hands and feet, or glued them on, however they each attach differently, and glued on that upper torso. And now I have a full-bodied, as full of a body as you would like, really, driver figure. Making your own driver figure is so much weirder than just buying a doll, but whatever. Now we have one in there. The benefits of doing it that way is that I got it all in there, and that clay stays nice and soft for 24 to 48 hours. So I basically got him into the seat, and then I just pressed him all the way down. So it sits all the way down into that seat in a realistic position. The legs just kind of moved however I needed to get around there. Same with the arms. And then it dried. And now everything fits perfectly, exactly where I want it. Problem with like action figures I've always felt is they always like sit like awkwardly on top of the seats. They're never down into it like you would be in an actual vehicle. Not my only complaint with putting dolls in cars, but regardless, we did it. We got it on there, and we've moved forward. That at least is done, other than the detailing, which I'll get accomplished. Now, you can see the Headless Horseman that's in there currently. I still have the helmet for. Once I've detailed it up, I'll get this sucker glued onto his dome, and Robert's your mother's brother. The interior, there were some bits that still needed to be completed with that as well. I had the dash in there, but this side was open. So I created a file for that. And while I was at it, I incorporated an LED digital voltage display. Now, I'm running the Radio Master MT12, which has telemetry voltage display as well. So I don't need that. It just looks kind of cool. It's there. Why not? Kind of looks like some sort of whatever. I put it in there because I put it in there. I've put it in a lot of vehicles in the past. It's like a little detail that I enjoy putting in. So I added that. And then we kind of got onto this carbon fiber project. Just because I wanted something done, I needed something done, and that was an easy way to do it. Getting this thing wrapped up and running. Like I've showed you, the wiring is in there, kind of. Obviously some stuff's hanging out. I still got to plug a couple of things in. But I have tested the function of driving. I haven't tested setting up all of the servos. I'm running this Radio Master MT12. It's an amazing radio with more functionality than any other radio for Surface, period, as far as I'm aware. It's a 16-channel radio capable of 32 in certain situations, with programming that is so capable, there is no limit. Which also has its limits to the human ability, because it is wildly complicated. Nothing makes sense. Everything is weird. Nothing is as you expect or anything like a previous ground radio you've ever used. I got some help with some models sent over that I could just start with, which worked out pretty well. I did have to modify them to kind of work with what I need, because I have 4-wheel steer and then 2 shifting servos inside, and none of them really fit that as well. But I modified that thanks to Daniel Fink for sending over his models. It was a good starting point. Then I also grabbed a called Lua telemetry script, which gives me a page that displays the position of the front dig and rear dig servos, as well as the battery voltage and the it's got a drag brake adjustment on there currently. But basically, you can go in and just modify these scripts in a text editor, and you can create anything. It's so powerful, but it does require learning a lot about the variables and special mixes and special functions that these radios use. So it was not a simple thing, and it's not complete yet. Like, I've got it up and running, but the community behind these radios is really something else. So it's going to display what position each of the things are in, just as a nice little visual to see if you've got it in dig, or you've got it in neutral, or whatever you happen to be doing. It's just kind of a cool function, which I really like. So I liked playing with that. and I wasted time doing that rather than kind of finishing up some of these details. But Matt has showed me that he has printed a rear motor for me, and he's going to be doing some detailing to it to get it finished up. Now, that he is going to deliver to me in Colorado. So I'm going to have to disassemble the rear end of this buggy and reassemble it in Colorado with the motor that he's bringing. Very convenient. But the good news is that this buggy is not that far off. I do still have to get a couple of things wrapped up. These front inner fender mounts with the mesh, I need to actually make the mounts so that they're held into the chassis up front. That hasn't been done. The battery is going to go up front. I'll be running these 850 milliamp 3S tattoo packs. I've had good luck with these in the past, so that's what we're going to be running again. I made a hard mounted XT60 plug location up front, so you don't have to like get your sausage fingers down into that cavity. You can do it simply with one hand. I've done that on many cars in the past as well, and I really like that little detail. One other thing about this is that this buggy can run in another class, which is the 2.2 Unlimited class, and at a 13 and change wheelbase, 13 and a half, I think this is at. It's not a problem. I'll probably take a second set of wheels and tires so that I can do exactly that. That allows me to get double the usage out of this project that we put so much time into. And since there will be no testing on it the first day, maybe I'll have a better chance at the second day. Now, these weekly updates are more how'd it go rather than how to, and I wish that I had enough time to get that done, just to go through more in depth. But now that we're coming to the end of this buggy, the build along phase is nearly complete, which is good because the guys have been doing a great job getting theirs done as well. And again, this week, we'll show you photos of where they're at the end of this video. I forgot to ask them to upload them, so hopefully they all did it, or as many of them did it as could remember. But where that leads me to is that once this is all done, I'm going to be able to get all of the packaging of the build along stuff together to then offer to the public. And that's my goal with it. I plan on building another one of these myself along with the release of it. And that video, I do plan to make a very long, in-depth, like I could see it being more than 2 hours long. But oh well, I enjoy that type of stuff at times. And maybe it's just watching along rather than like a lot of, voiceover or very little talking to camera. So hopefully that'll be a fun thing to watch. And I'm looking forward to building another one because I had so much fun with this one. I don't suspect that this buggy will leave me. I have some sort of connection with this project. The build-alongs just do that for some reason. So as far as next week, I'm not 100% sure if Matt's going to commit to another video before the event or not. But we'll definitely need a final video showing you where we ended up. I feel like I still need to add a couple of details to this somewhere, but I'm not totally sure what that is yet. Being that we have bronze on the wheels, gold leafing doesn't quite seem appropriate. I don't know if there is bronze leafing. Is that a thing? Could that be a thing? I don't know. Maybe I'll look into it. But yeah, I want to add something to the roof at least. You know, my typical number 37 seems appropriate. The Harley crown maybe on the hood could be appropriate as well. I'm up to suggestions on that. How do I just kind of wrap this up? The panels are going to be anodized blue, and there's some details on those with those, side areas anyway. So I'm not sure that those are going to get anything beyond that, but open to suggestions on what we should add to kind of finish off some of these panels. If they get nothing because that's what time allowed, that's a thing as well. I may add some last sort of inserted 3D printed grill at the end as well. But tell you what, there isn't a whole lot left that's going to happen to this. We're coming down to the end. I'm excited to get it done. I'm anxious to get it done. We have a week. Feel like I'm sitting okay, but I feel like there's a lot of opportunity to things to go wrong. So I'm going to take this chance now to wrap this video up. Thank you to all of the channel members who have joined and helped support the channel, seeing some of the behind the scenes. I did a roughly 30-minute video last night or the night before showing the process of molding these panels up close and just talking through it, as well as a number of other member videos, just kind of going through behind the scenes with this project, other projects, talking about the industry in general. So thanks to everybody who has joined. Anybody who is interested, I'll put a link in the description below. But with that, let's roll into the photos from the guys who remembered to upload from the build along. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you in a week.